Welcome back to Those Who Were Born Free channel. This is Little, your host, and basically today I'm going to be talking about why it's such a loaded term to say that apartheid was so long ago, we should be over it by now. For those of you who don't know, apartheid is a system that was based on racial segregation, similar to that of America but different in its own way. It had laws against where you could work, where you could live, who you could be with, and everything in between. So essentially, a lot of black people, Indian people, and mixed race people, we call them colored people in South Africa, had limitations on what and who they could become in current and in future. Essentially, apartheid was ended in 1990 on the 4th of May. True democracy was initiated. We met our first president. Many of you may know him, Nelson Mandela, on the 27th of April, 1994. It's been 28 years of democracy. With that, we've had bumps in the road, but one of the things we still keep coming back to is our old system of apartheid and how much we can blame for where we are today and how much we can't. A lot of people like to put individual responsibility, similar to the pick yourself up by the bootstrap model. And I think that's wrong to say without properly emphasizing that there is still a large effect on people of color to this day. Basically, one of the biggest problems that modern times have with the past in terms of what happened in apartheid and what's affecting us now is generational wealth and generational opportunities. So in the legislation of apartheid, there was reserved jobs, skilled jobs and managerial jobs for white people. No person of color could go into those jobs, not black, white, or Indian. And even equally skilled black people, Indian people, colored people were not allowed into those jobs by law. What that creates then is a ceiling. There was a literal ceiling as to how far you as a person of color could go in the apartheid system. And with that being said, there was different levels to different ceilings, which is why even today when you check wealth disparities, there's different levels to different ethnicities in South Africa actually. But nonetheless, there's still a very clear, this is where people of color could get up to. Everywhere else above this was not capable. The effect of that is that today we live post those laws. After those laws were dropped in 1990, we had true free movements of your skills, your ability, and it was you trying to do your best. But here's the thing about it. If you ask your general white person in South Africa, what did your grandfather do? What did your grandmother do? And your mother and your father? My dad was an electrician. My grandfather worked on the railroad. He was a manager. He used to manage shipping goods from here to Cape Town. And I'm trying to be an electrical engineer. If you ask a black person, what did your grandmother do? And your great-grandmother and your mom? My great-grandmother used to go to work and clean the houses of white people. My grandmother used to go to work and clean the houses of white people. They were both domestic workers. They did not have the chance to do anything else, really. What does your mom do? My mom's an accountant. There's a very big difference between those three familial links. This person had to break a chain of low-skilled, low-paid work, whereas this person now is just continuing what has come before. And this is where the new generation comes in. This is myself and all the other people that are born free. That's where the thoughts on this channel come from. That's where the concept of this channel comes from. And one of the complicated parts about being a born free is you have the idea of infinite possibilities based on what you have, your own merit. But you can't get deluded in that the effects that came before you still make up a good portion of what you can do in this world. Because you don't have the intergenerational wealth. What was passed on in the white family is something that was not capable of being passed on in the black family. Even your mother, who's an exception that became an accountant, is just that, an exception because she was exceptional. You cannot, for the most of you that know this, you cannot take a student to university on the fees that they cost and just on the salary of a domestic worker. You cannot afford it because most people do not earn so much money that they have surplus to take a child to university to study something that's so highly skilled. this child had to do something incredibly difficult. And I'm not trying to say that this family does not come across its own difficulties, but I am trying to say is to notice the difference in having to work your way out of a cycle versus to continue a cycle. For those of you who do physics and generally know this, static friction is always higher than kinetic friction. Once you've got the ball moving, you pick up momentum. But black people have only just started to have the opportunity to pick up momentum. And not everybody's on the same level of capability. Just that not everybody in this family are millionaires, businessmen. Not everybody in this family is going to be an accountant or everything else that it takes to really break the chains of poverty and everything that comes with that. We need to be very mindful of those type of things. We need to be very honest about the fact that not everybody has the same case study, and that even the kids that you will see or the people that you'll see of color and making it in this world, keep in mind, you find people that are white and are billionaires. You don't model how things work off of a few exceptions. You go for the general rule. So understand that you're not limited in the laws as much as you were, but you are limited in the effects that came before that. So you should take into account that not everybody's familial situation is the same. And part of that reason is down to legislation that happened previously. Thank you.
Okay.